What's up, everyone? I am back with an incredible truck, a monster truck, depends on how big or tall you are, but I'm with the famous F-150 Raptor. This one is brought to me by Angela Krause Ford here in Woodstock, Georgia. This is actually on their lot, freshly on their lot, and it is for sale, but this thing is a monster of a truck. So today, I'm going through this thing on the outside, inside. We're gonna take it for a drive, and I'm gonna show you why this is worth every single bit of its price tag. When this thing was new, it was about $62,000 to $65,000. Even though this thing's pre-owned, it is the current body style with all the current features, and this thing is still $59,000. This thing does not lose any of its value. And just wait until I tell you how many miles are on this thing, or lack thereof. And I'm gonna show you why this thing is still king of the hill. Let's get to it. Really quick, if you guys love the content, definitely subscribe to the channel, hit that bell in the upper right hand corner. That way you get a notification every time I release a video. As you've seen, I've done everything from a Hyundai Elantra to a Corvette to this monster truck. So definitely hit that subscribe button. I've got a lot of exciting things coming to you, even in the future. Doesn't depend on the brand. I've got a lot of things in store for you guys. So hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to the video. So let's start off with the front end of the F-150 Raptor. First of all, first things you're gonna notice are these lights on the side and in the grille. Those are for regulation purposes. This thing is almost 7 inches wider than a standard F-150. 7 inches wider. My mind can't fathom that. Now, the reason being, for one, the bigger tires, the bigger wheels, the bigger suspension. This thing is made for off-roading, Baja racing, etc. You can take this thing from the factory and race it off-road if you want to. Now, going into the front end, past those lights, you see this gigantic grille with Ford emblazoned all the way across. You know what brand this is coming from. You should know the Raptor just by this grille. If you haven't noticed, a lot of companies are making aftermarket grills to mimic this, to put on other F-150s. That's how popular this is. Now, you do have a front camera because this vehicle actually does have a surround view camera, which I find to be completely necessary because this thing is so gigantic. It can be a little intimidating at first to actually maneuver this thing in a parking lot, but I will tell you it's very easy. In addition to that, you do have a lot of plastic pieces on the front or hard-coated pieces. Again, this thing is made for off-roading. You don't want a lot of painted parts on there to get chipped, dinged, etc. You do have this piece down here with an actual protector plate for the actual underside of the front end of this car. So that way, if you do go off-roading, the engine, transmission, oil pan, etc. is protected completely, okay? You do have these gigantic tow hooks. God forbid you get stuck in this thing. If you get stuck in this thing, there's no hope for you. There really isn't. So you have those pieces there. This bumper is actually factory, and so are these lights. It was an option on the Raptor. So if you look at these things and you're like, man, those look cool, where can I get them? Look in your Ford Performance catalog, you can find them. In addition to that, you do have these huge LED headlights. They're full LED, your high beams, your low beams, your running lights, and your indicators. Your main indicator is going to be here, but it also does blink with the outer running light, which is really cool. And then, of course, you see these wide fender flares. These things are absolutely insane to house these huge wheels. So, in saying that, we're going to talk about not only what's behind this grille, meaning the powertrain, we're also going to talk about these wheels next. Let's get to it. So let's talk about this huge tire wheel setup. Like I said, you have these gigantic fender flares because you have to house this huge tire. This is a 17-inch beadlock wheel from Ford Performance themselves. This is a factory wheel wrapped in these BF Goodrich all-terrain tires. These things are absolutely monstrous, and they get the job done because that is what you want in a vehicle like this. It just blows my mind that this is a factory tire that you can get on a pickup truck nowadays. And God forbid if you have to actually replace one of these. I don't even want to know how much that costs. But all in all, I think the design of the wheel is actually very, very handsome. It's very modern, but it's also dare I say, built Ford tough. It looks very, very tough. It looks like it can handle anything that you throw at it. I like that the outer part is painted a gunmetal, and then the middle part is kind of a matte black. Just gives it a very athletic and aggressive look without being overly styled. And that's something that I think is very important, especially in the world of pickup trucks, because it is very easy to overstyle anything in the car world today. But more importantly, it's not understyled, which can make this easily look very boring compared to the rest of the truck. So very well done, Ford. So getting to the back of the F-150 Raptor, the first thing you're going to notice is, of course, those same lights that you're finding on the front. Again, that's for regulation. This thing is 7 inches wider than a standard F-150, so they have to have those. That's why you're always going to see dualies with those lights. You're going to see semi trucks with those lights. It's all for regulation. In this case, it also looks badass. So in saying that, one thing you're going to notice, this fender comes out more, so you have more of an indentation there with the taillight. With this taillight, Ford's blind spot detection system is built into the taillight. So God forbid you have to replace these. It'll be a little bit pricey, but if you can afford a Raptor, you can afford anything. Now, coming to the back, you do have Ford emblazoned all the way across the back, just like you do the front. Again, if you see this tailgate, you know you're dealing with a Raptor. In addition to that, you've got F-150 blacked out. The Raptor badge over here is also blacked out. So the whole rear, even though it is kind of blacked out, it matches this magnetic metallic paint really, really well. It is a very, very simplistic look that looks super nice. I'm a big fan of it. Now, in addition to that, you do have your backup camera. In addition to the other cameras, surround view camera system, and then other things to make note, you have these huge exhausts to let the sound of that 3.5 V6 roar. And I don't care what anybody says, even though this thing doesn't have a V8, I am more than happy with the powertrain in this thing. When we go on a test drive, I'm actually going to talk more about the powertrain, so stay tuned for that. But back to the rear, you have tow hooks back here as well. So again, God forbid you get stuck anywhere. I don't know why you would, but you can get towed out easily. And then outside of that, you do have some textured surfaces here, so if you want to step up or anything like that, you can. And then outside of that, tow hitch, standard fare for a truck, and then you do have rear parking sensors, which also help when you're maneuvering this big beast. One thing I do like about this is the tailgate, which is electronically released, is actually power operated, which is really cool. It does power down, it does not power up, which I am told that that is a new feature on newer F-150s, which is also really cool. But it is nice to know that it is power release on this one. It just makes it nicer, so that way you don't have to clunk it down. Something super tiny, but I actually enjoy that. The actual tailgate itself, you got little indentations for cup holders, if you want to put tools or anything like that, if you're at a job site, whatever have you. Outside of that, nothing really interesting in the truck bed. This one's got the truck liner. You've got LED lighting on the inside of it. This one does have the tonneau cover from the previous owner. They probably put it on at the dealership as an accessory. And then you do have these baskets here to extend the actual bed out onto the tailgate if you want to haul anything else. So in saying that, why don't we get into the interior of this thing and let's see what kind of luxury you're actually getting in this F-150 Raptor. Stepping into the F-150, first I want to take a look at the door. So the first thing you're going to notice is there's a lot of storage built into the door. All right, you've got storage pockets on the side. You do have a cup holder there, and look at that carbon fiber, absolutely beautiful. You do have your power windows. You got your power mirrors, standard fare there. Memory seats on this gigantic beast, and then you do have speaker grills that are outlined in a metal finish. Looks really nice, gives you that upscale look. And then one thing I want to point out is look at this F-150 badge on the inside here. That's something that most people are always going to miss, but they wanted to give you that attention to detail. I think it looks really cool. I'm glad that they included it. And then stepping into the interior of this F-150 Raptor, you see you got Raptor emblazoned on the actual seat back. Leather seats, they are dual tone. Leather, they're heated and cooled. And look at the buttons. They have that metal surround, which just gives it that upmarket feel. Lumbar support. You got a steering wheel with perforated leather, which is really pretty. It is a heated steering wheel as well. And then of course you have all of your switch gear on it. And then I will make note right now, those paddle shifters, which are real metal, are huge. Move that back. And then you do have a power tilt steering wheel, which is actually something that surprised me. I didn't expect that in a pickup truck, but it's really good to see that Ford has that. Underneath here, you have buttons for the lighting on the exterior mirrors. So that way, if you want to illuminate anything like in an alleyway, you can do that. And then you see you've got your buttons here. That's going to be for the actual bed light. That's actually by the third brake light. Automatic lights, of course, illumination for the cluster. And then something that very few trucks and SUVs have anymore, but power adjustable pedals. Really, really neat there. Looking at the gauge cluster, you'll notice it is manual on the tax side and the speedometer side. It is really cool seeing a truck with a 140 speed gauge. It is really rare that you see that. Most of them top out at 100 or a $120, so it's really good to see that. You do have a completely digital middle cluster there. Like I said, this thing is pretty low mileage for what it's worth, 59,000 miles, and this thing is still close to sticker. That is just because of the market that this car is in. Now, looking here, you've got Ford Sync system here. Of course, touchscreen, as you would expect. It's very responsive. Doesn't really have much lag, if any at all. Navigation, you've got your climate controls, audio, navigation, features, settings, etc. Nothing too crazy or different there. On the top here, you've got your idle stop and go button to turn it off and on. You do have your hazard lights, you have your camera selector button, and then you do have your downhill brake assist and your traction control light. Up here, you do have a storage pocket, and you have another speaker for that beautiful Bang & Olufsen system that this truck has. 10 speakers to supply a beautiful sound, but why would you need that when this thing sounds gnarly with that twin turbo V6? Down here, you're going to have more hard buttons, which are soft touch plastic, but they feel really good. But they're also very durable because, again, this is a work truck at the end of the day. Dual zone climate controls, heated and cooled seats, and then carbon fiber on the shift knob just looks super nice. And then you have a tow button there, and then of course you can manually shift it with those buttons on the side of the shifter as well. Trailer brake, and then a selector for the four-wheel drive system. And then down here, 2 cup holders. You have a little storage pocket in the middle, and then a deeper storage pocket up front with 2 USBs. Looks absolutely cool. And then you push that down and look at all that carbon fiber. Looks amazing. Same there in the dash, and then you can see the other door pocket there. You do have a frameless mirror. Everybody knows I'm a fan of that. LED interior lighting, auxiliary switches. So if you want to put additional lighting on this truck or anything like that, you've got switches to operate them. And then of course you've got this beautiful moonroof, goes all the way into the second row of seating. Looks absolutely amazing. And then of course you just have buttons for the moonroof and for the interior lighting controls there. Home link on the actual visor, so you can hook up your garage. Really, really well appointed interior. Let's get to the second row seats. Getting into the second row seats, they are going to be heated for the outboard seats. You can seat 3 people back here. In this middle area, you do have this little compartment that you can actually fold down and use as an armrest. You do have cup holders here, storage pockets in both seat backs, and then look at that. You've got an AC outlet, you've got a fast charge USB. I mean, you can charge literally everything. There's so many plugins in this thing. You can charge a house. I wouldn't be surprised. One thing I will make note, the door handles are actually these little pull tug handles, which I've always loved in these F-150s. It's specifically a Ford design feature that I absolutely love. And then you see you got more carbon fiber there, storage pocket, good for a bottle, and then more storage there. Speaker grills are going to be a mesh with a metal outline. Just looks really, really nice. And you can see they continued that leather with the dual tone in the back here too. Just a really good look. The leather feels really nice. It's really nice, soft, supple, but it just gives you that high-end feel for a high-end truck. All right, we are in the monster truck of a lifetime, aka the Raptor. This is Dylan. He is the one who has helped facilitate such things, and I am very thankful. So again, I'm going to give the plug. His information is actually going to be in the description of this video. So if you guys want this truck, or if somebody wants this truck, he's the guy to talk to, okay? So like I said, this one is for sale. It is a pre-owned one, but everything about it's still modern, right? The Raptor hasn't been updated like the F-150 has, right? So the F-150 just got to dealerships, but current body style Raptors are still out there. So in saying that, driving impressions on this thing, first thing, it is a tank. This thing is every bit of a tank that you would expect. It is huge, but it is very, very easy to maneuver, and that is something that surprised me. And I think part of it has to do with the steering feel. It's very, very direct, which again, Ford Performance had their hands in this truck all the way through, so it makes sense that it feels almost like a sports car, because again, this is a sports truck. As much as it is for off-roading, it's more for off-road racing, like Baja and things like that. So steering feel in this thing is really nice. Now, I will say, sound is very quiet in this thing. This thing does have a 3.5 V6. It's a twin-turbo EcoBoost engine, and if it sounds familiar, that's because it is. It's used in other F-150 models, but it's also the basis of the Ford GT's motor. Now, this one is actually tuned a bit differently. This one has about 450 horsepower and 510 foot-pounds of torque. 510. That number is ridiculous for a truck that is not a diesel. That is truly astonishing, and you feel every bit of it. This thing has the power and torque to get you up and going. 0 to 60 on this thing is 5 seconds flat. 5 seconds flat. A Mustang GT goes to 60 only in a half a second to a full second quicker, but weighs thousands less than this thing. Put that in perspective. And has 2 additional cylinders. Put that in perspective. So this thing is a true monster of a truck. No pun intended. This thing is a beast in every form and fashion. Everything is geared for performance in this thing. It even has a tick on the steering wheel, so that way you know where center is. That is a true performance inspired vehicle. Now, I will say the economy roots do shine in this interior. Though it does have nice amenities, it's an economy branded vehicle, so it does have some hard plastics here and there. And do they creak sometimes? Sure. But at the end of the day, what do you want? This car, this truck is made for one thing and one thing only: power. Okay, whether it's for towing, off-road use, if you want to use this thing on the street, which I don't recommend in terms of like street racing or anything, it's made for power, but it gets you where you want to go in a very comfortable sense. Now, like I said, these seats, they are very comfortable. They're not really aggressive. They don't have aggressive bolstering like you would expect in, say, like, you know, a Mustang GT or Shelby with Recaro seats. It's not like that, but you do stay in place quite well, and they are very comfortable actually. Now, I will say the heated seat function is actually pretty potent in this truck. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I've been in quite a few cars with heated seats, but this one's definitely taking the cake on that. Holy cow, this thing is monstrous. Holy cow. It is. Jeez, that was a little interesting getting around that corner. Now, one thing I'm a little shocked by, and I don't understand why they did this, but on an F-150, Platinum, Limited, etc., you can get massaging seats. And though I get it, this is kind of a man's toy, all that other jazz, they don't offer it in the Raptor, and I don't know why they skipped that feature. You can get literally everything else except that one feature, and I'm really kind of sad on why, because I really do feel like this truck benefits from having all those luxurious features, because this is a flagship truck for Ford. So I don't know why they skipped that feature. That is one thing I'm a little sad about, but it's not a deal breaker because you've got cooled seats too, so what does it matter? Oh my goodness, this thing is, as big as this thing is, it is actually very easy to maneuver. I will say that. You just have to be very, very aware of the size of the truck. If you can do that, you'll be fine. I'm actually going to turn this down. It's getting hot in here.
It works.
It definitely works. It definitely works. Now, the sound in here, when it comes to engine noise, it's actually very nice. I do like the sound of this motor. A lot of people are like, trucks need a V8, blah, 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 blah. I think people need to get off their high horse about that, because at the end of the day, Ford was really the first company to downsize truck engines while maintaining performance. And obviously the Raptor is the epitome of that. You have a V6 with more power than any V8 they've ever put in a truck. I mean, that just says it all. You know, so at the end of the day, you really have to let go of that stigma of my truck needs a V8. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. This V6 sounds really good. It sounds really exotic. And if people want to disagree, you can take a look at very exotic cars that have had V6s. Probably the most famous being the GTR, having a twin turbo V6 that sounds like amazingness. This truck follows suit. It's got a deep growl to it, and when you get on it, it definitely sounds a bit throaty, and it doesn't sound bad. It really doesn't. It sounds really good. But I will say, when you're just cruising along, it's very, very quiet, which is something that not a lot of people would expect in a performance vehicle at all. This is cool.
It's a comfort feature, man.
It's so awesome. This thing is so comfortable too.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I really like. This suspension is very, very floaty.
But it's not as jarring as you'd expect it to be.
Right. And I guess like I expected it to be kind of like that because it's a performance truck.
Yep.
But I guess it would make sense that it has a softer suspension because of the off-road aspect of it.
Yep.
But geez, like this thing is very comfortable, and road noise is actually not that much, which is also a big shock because I thought it was going to be with these tires on here. Oh, that motor sounds so good.
It'll go.
I love the sound of this motor. I really do. And I could be a little biased because I'm a huge Ford fan, and I've always loved the Raptor. And when they announced that they were only going twin turbo V6 for this generation, I was like, I get it. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see what it sounds like. This thing just sounds sweet. And the transmission calibration is so nice because no matter where you want to be, it knows. And it puts you right there. And I love that. Oh, man, that's awesome. And this thing's got the 10-speed automatic, too. Which, for y'all purists out there, yes, Chevy and Ford came together to build this transmission. But, oh, it feels so sweet. It is buttery smooth. Even after 59,000 miles, this thing feels brand spanking new. I'm talking buttery smooth and buttery, just butter. Butter, America. It is America in a nutshell. But I think my favorite thing is how responsive this motor and transmission combo is. I truly feel like there's no turbo lag in this. And I think it's in part because of the calibration of the turbos, transmission, everything about this thing is just perfect. And I rarely say that, but I do think the whole combination of what they did here was perfect. Oh my goodness. Jesus Christ. That was not even quarter throttle and the tires spin.
Yeah. It's ready to go.
Holy cow. But it's crazy because the traction control system just...
Nope.
It's like, we got you. What the hell, dude? What the hell? That's awesome. I love that. This is something that you can obviously get a speeding ticket with, but like, for me, I'm not going to speak for everybody. I'd be too scared to punch this thing just because of how big it is.
Yeah, there's so much power.
They're like,
man.
There's cars that are missiles, but this is a nuclear bomb if this goes towards anybody.
Yep.
Like, oh my God. I don't even want to know how much this thing weighs. Probably like 7,000 to 8,000 pounds, if not more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's heavy.
But the fact that it still moves, oh my goodness. I gotta say the brake feel in this thing is amazing. And I want to point that out because in full-size trucks, I've driven the Silverado, Rams, etc. Brake power is very limited, and you can feel the weight and you can feel the lack of grip in the brakes, but not the case here. I don't know if they use a different compound for the brake pad, different size brakes, which I would assume both are different.
They do.
But they needed to, because brake feel in this thing feels like you're stopping a small car, which is amazing because that instills confidence as you as a driver. But it's also important if you are going to be using this at high speeds and you need to slow this thing down, the brakes match the power, and that is incredibly important. Jeez, that truck was not weighty. So all in all, I think this thing is amazing. I love the steering feel. I love the power delivery. I love the sound. Braking power is amazing. Oh my goodness. Even the view is great. Like, you can see everywhere. You've got more than enough viewing space in the back through the rear window. Of course, through the sides, you can see more than enough. These mirrors are the size of Texas, so like, it doesn't matter. Holy cow. I don't even want to mash it too much just because like this thing's got so much power. And it's not even a lack of like tire, because these tires are brand spanking new, they look like. So I mean, I get it, they're off-road tires, so they're not going to be like Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, but jeez. Oh my goodness, I love this thing. I wish I could buy it. Honestly.
Cut you a deal on it.
Holy cow. Dang. So I'm just curious, and I'm sure everybody else is, I mean, what would be the going price for this thing, both new and used?
So it definitely depends on the configuration of the Raptor, because people build Raptors and throw all kinds of stuff on them. This one, it originally stickered at $64,500.
Jeez.
And it's currently selling for $56,700.
Not gonna lie, that's a pretty nice price.
Yep.
I'm not even gonna lie on that one.
No, it's the cheapest Raptor we've had here.
And I'm kind of surprised, because it's not like this thing is a low trimmed one, because this thing has pretty much every feature, including carbon fiber accents on the interior.
Yep.
So, well, I mean, honestly, it's probably one of the cheapest pre-owned Raptors I've ever seen too. So,
yep.
I guess you guys know where to go. I'm going to put the link to this specific vehicle and the link to their actual inventory in the description below. So again, big thank you to Dylan. You've been a huge help in this. These trucks are so hard to come by, especially in the pre-owned market, just because everybody holds on to them. They really do. And I can understand why. I really can. You know, they're very rare. They're very hard to come by. They're from Ford Performance, but in the same token, I mean, it's just a star of a truck. So big thank you to them. Thank you to Kraus Ford here in Woodstock, Georgia. Honestly, this is a huge lot, so I'm imagining y'all have a huge inventory.
We do.
Yeah. So in saying that, hopefully we got more videos lined up from you guys, because I'm a Ford fan, not known to many people, but I really am a Ford fan. I've always been a Ford fan. So in saying that, hopefully we can get more videos going. And like I said, thank you again. This has been mind-blowing. So in saying that, I'll see you guys on the next review. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.